Hi, I'm Jim Jones and I'm here on a beautiful day in Canada. I'm at Mount Wolfe Farm in Caledon, Ontario, and I'm here right next to this hedge that we've planted um, over last weekend's Thanksgiving Day celebrations here um, during the Open Farm Day at Mount Wolfe Farm. I'm here, I'm all the way from the UK, from Surrey Wildlife Trust. I'm a landscape ecologist. And I'm also a partner in HedgeLink, the UK steering group for hedgerows. So why have we planted this hedge? Well, it's all part of a project facilitated by the University of Waterloo. It's called Hedge Laying in Ontario's Greenbelt. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a tick. But what is a hedge? What am I talking about? So in a European context, a hedge was basically conceived as a living barrier. A place, a line of shrubs that was planted. Sometimes actually it would be an existing line of plants that were the result of clearing out of a woodland. But there was an intention here to create a livestock barrier. So what we've got here is a line of shrubs, and the idea is to manage these hedgerow plants to create a thick and bushy barrier to prevent livestock moving between fields or out of fields. So this isn't going to be a shelter belt. It's not going to grow up into tall lines of trees. It's going to have a shrubby component, a thick shrubby component from the ground all the way to about 2 or 3 meters. But implicit in hedgerows is this sense of ongoing management. So every 2 to 3 years the hedgerow might need to be cut, as in the UK and in parts of Europe we cut or flail hedgerows once every 2 to 3 years. But those plants want to grow up, they want to grow into trees, and we've got to manage that process by every so often rejuvenating the hedgerow when it gets too high, when the plants start to become too gappy. And there are 2 ways of rejuvenating a hedgerow. One is through coppicing, where you cut all the plants down. The rejuvenation comes from the base and you get a hedge growing up again. That's particularly useful if you want to take all the hedge plants away for wood fuel, for wood chip. But it's not very good if you've still got livestock in the field and you want to manage them. Or for instance, if you've got a really important corridor that you want to connect one woods to another for woodland species to use as a migrating corridor. So perhaps the best way of managing your hedgerow is the traditional art of hedge laying. Now I'm not going to say too much about hedge laying, apart from it's a way of managing your hedgerow so you can rejuvenate from the base. You get plants regrowing from the base, but it involves cutting the plant 2/3 of the way through and laying that plant over, so you still get growth from the base and also along the laid stem. If you want to know a bit more about hedge laying, why don't you go over to our HedgeLink website, www.hedgelink.org.uk, and you'll find lots of information there about hedgerows and hedgerow management. In order to plant a hedge so that we can lay it in the future, which is what we're doing here, it's good to get a specific structure going on. So what we've started to do here is plant a hedgerow of 2 lines of shrubs, and we're aiming for about 5 shrubs per metre. So what we've started to do here is plant the shrubs that we've been given, kindly donated by the Toronto Region Conservation Authority, who are partners in the Hedge Laying in Ontario's Greenbelt project. Each of the plants is roughly 40 centimetres apart. The rows are 40 centimetres apart, and each plant will be 30 centimetres from its neighbour. Now, as you can see here, this is quite a sparse looking hedgerow. We don't actually have enough plants this autumn to be able to plant the full hedgerow up, so in the spring we'll intersperse. We've got about 2 plants per metre at the moment. We'll get eventually up to 5 metres. So the idea that is you've got regular spaced stems, so if you're going to if you're going to lay in the future, you'll have something to lay with. Now, being from the UK, I'm not really that familiar with some of the plants that we have to put in our hedgerow. There are some here. We've got hazel, we'll have a look at the plants in a minute, but we've got hazel, which I'm familiar with, and we're hoping to get a nice thorn like hawthorn to go in there as well. But all these plants are designed so that they won't grow too tall, and they'll easily be cut and regrow from the cut. So we've got things here like arrowwood, we've got a number of different viburnum plants as well, we've got nannyberry, chokeberry, chokecherry, we've got a fragrant sumac as well. So we're really just testing and seeing what plants work in this hedgerow. Who knows, we may find something else that works just as well in other that we can plant in other hedgerows. Mainly these plants that grow well in hedgerows are the ones that you find in understories of forests, not in the canopy. So we've planted this hedgerow. It's all part of the University of Waterloo's 3-year project to look at how hedgerows can be used in a planning sense, in a novel ecosystems within the Greater Ontario area. So the idea is that hedgerows provide a number of different services which are really important to us. So not only those barriers to livestock, but they also provide an important service for protecting soils from wind erosion. They can be used, we're interested in seeing if they can be used for as barriers to snowdrift as well. You can actually plant them in landscapes to stop the overground movement of water, so they're good in natural flood management. They harbour predators, insect predators of pests that you find in crops as well. And let's not forget that one of the most important things that the University of Waterloo are looking at is the idea that in Europe, planting hedgerows and managing of hedgerows have developed lots of different hedge laying styles and even different tools to use to manage those hedgerows. So in Britain alone there's over 38 different styles of hedge laying, and that's a really interesting there's a really interesting cultural and social connection therefore between hedgerows and the people that manage them, which gives you a kind of sense of place. You know, you can go into parts of England and you can tell where you are. You're in Yorkshire and you're in Devon or you're in Surrey because of the different hedge styles that are being used. So one of the things that University of Waterloo want to find out here is if we can develop new styles and new ways of using hedgerows in the landscape. Apart from that, this is all about a partnership problem. So I'm here today at Mount Wolfe Farm, and you may be wondering who's holding the camera, and that's Sarah Dollimore. She's farm manager here at Mount Wolfe Farm. Say hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Fantastic. So she's been helping us plant this hedgerow up. It's got some wonderful mulch supplied by the farm as well, so that's really good. It's going to stand the best chance possible of getting going over the winter period. Again, the plants have been supplied by Toronto Region Conservation Authority. These plants, as I said, we don't really know how they're going to work, but my friend Nigel Adams, UK hedge layer. Hi Nigel. He came over last year with me, and a friend of ours, Jeff Geelan from the Netherlands. Hi Jeff. And we talked to the Toronto Region Conservation Authority to find out which plants were going to be the best ones to use. Also in this project, the town of Caledon are involved and Albion Hills. We're going to be planting 2 other hedgerows, all with different themes and different species within them to see what works best. Because the idea is each of those individual farms and landowners makes a hedgerow that is specific to their needs. So if you want to know more about the project, I've written a couple of blogs. Come along, why don't you go to my blog at www.hedgygym.wordpress.com. Yes, I'm also known as Hedgy Jim for my sins. Where I'll be posting a little bit of an update of what we've done here as well. So hopefully this will be the start of something big in Canada in terms of hedgerows and hedge laying. Watch this space, and if you're interested, get in touch also.